what's a target market anyway? Essentially, it's just a group of customers with a certain profile that are ideal for your products or service. That's what's most important. Now, you're going to use your target market, you're going to weave it through your entire business strategy. It's going to impact everything that you do. So, a couple of questions that I want you to ask. First, who's going to be most likely to buy my products or services? What does that target group look like? Who's going to be most willing to pay the price that I'm going to charge? Who will understand and appreciate what I'm delivering in terms of my products and services? And that's really what's important. Target market breaks down into two different groups. It breaks down into demographics and psychographics. There's two different types that we use to define our target market. Demographics, pretty easy. Age, income, occupation, geography. We're going to go through those. Psychographics are a little bit more touchy-feely. They're about personality, beliefs, values, lifestyles, things such as that. We're going to define attributes in each one of those categories, and that's going to make up our target market. Supercuts. If you're not familiar with Supercuts, they cut hair, hence the name Supercuts. Their target market is parents of kids age 4 to 12 with household incomes under $50,000, where low price is key. Lexus, and if you're not familiar with Lexus, it's a car company. They are targeted at professional men and women age 35 to 64 who value quality and image. They're higher income earners and they value quality over price. And how about Rolex? Rolex is targeted at professionals. They're well-educated, college-educated, white-collar men between age 45 and 64 years old. They're living near or in a major metropolitan area, and they have incomes over $200,000. So that gives us a sense of just how, at a very high level, how target market is defined for these varying companies. The big mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs make is what I call the everyone trap. The everyone trap is that my entire target market, everybody in the world can use my products or service. That means that everybody is in my target market. And I say to that, really? In fact, no, that can't be the case. You can't talk to the entire world. You can't talk to everyone. Your message will not resonate. It won't make sense. It's not a very good strategy overall. Now let me use an example that is kind of very common, that everybody uses a toothbrush, right? But yet, is everybody the target market for toothbrushes? Absolutely not. In fact, there are different types of toothbrushes. There are really cheap toothbrushes that are 99 cents. There are more sophisticated toothbrushes that vibrate in your mouth that might be like $10. And then there's these super expensive toothbrushes that are $200 and $300. And each one of those has different targets, right? So it's very interesting. Now, add one other layer into this, which is who actually buys the toothbrush in the family. Typically, moms are the ones that are going to buy the toothbrushes in families, so therefore she might be more of the target market than other folks. So we can start to carve out different types of products for different customer groups, and within that, who's actually going to buy those. That starts to define who our target market is. So when you try to speak to everyone, you actually end up speaking to no one. That message is not going to resonate with anyone out there. So you don't want to do that. You're much better off talking to a specific group of people with a specific message. So let's take another example of McDonald's. So one might say everybody goes to McDonald's because everybody wants inexpensive food. Well, in fact, not everybody wants inexpensive food and not everybody likes McDonald's. Not only because maybe they're not as healthy as you might want, but maybe the idea that their $1, $2, or $3 menu just doesn't resonate with people because price is not my biggest determinant in terms of buying food. I might value healthier alternatives and more expensive food over just going to McDonald's. In fact, personally, I don't go to McDonald's that much, if at all, because that doesn't resonate with me. That messaging doesn't mean anything to me, right? So that's what I want you to think about for your products or services as well. It's not always price or other things that might resonate to everybody out there. By defining your target market, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're excluding people, that these people will not buy from you. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're defining a market in such a way that says, here's who I'm speaking to, here's who I'm going after. It doesn't mean that other people won't come in outside that target market and buy from you. And that's something that's really important for you to understand. It might ease a little bit of your worry about narrowing down your target market to something that's meaningful. Otherwise, you're going to want to keep blowing it out, just like all the other entrepreneurs. You want to keep making it bigger and bigger. What we want to do is we want to get down to something that's reasonable and that I can speak to my target audience. Instead of speaking to everyone, I want you to speak to someone. This is what I want. I want you to hit the bullseye right there. That's going to resonate with your target audience. So you've got to narrow that down and speak to that individual. Nike doesn't sell to everybody that has feet. That's ridiculous. But in fact, they have a much more focused target market. Their market is about 18 to 55. People that generally are more affluent, have better incomes, is what they're targeting, right? Why is your target market so important to you? Well, first of all, it's the foundation of your entire go-to-market strategy. Essentially, it's a combination of your product strategy, your pricing strategy, your positioning strategy, your messaging strategy, your marketing strategy, your selling strategy, your branding strategy, all rolled into one. That's called a go-to-market strategy, and target market links to each and every one of those. The other reason why I think it's important for entrepreneurs is it focuses you. You generally, as entrepreneurs, want to kind of be a little bit all scattered around, because I know I'm an entrepreneur, I know about it for me, and this is going to actually focus you down into really getting specific about who you're going to talk to. So why do investors care about your target market? Well, first of all, they're going to ask you about it, so you want to make sure you know it. The second thing is that if they're a little bit confused about what your product or service is or what the value of your product or service, they're going to go to your target market and say, okay, they're going to compare that target market and do they see that as being valuable? They're also going to take a look at your problem statement as it relates to your target market. So are you solving a problem for your target market? That's very important to them in their overall analysis of what they're doing for you. And then finally, the feasibility. Feasibility of your business. Is your business feasible? Do you have a target market that will do certain things? So for instance, is your target market big enough? Is your target market too broad? Is it already saturated? Is your target market attractive to them? Is your target market aligned with your product strategy? And is your target market consistent with all of your other strategies that you have, all of your other go-to-market strategies? That's what they're going to be looking for. So you want to make sure you've got pinpoint accuracy on this target market. So before we get into our exercises, I want to give you a couple of tips to make it a little bit easier to get through this. First of all, I always recommend start with one target market. That's kind of important. Yes, you might have 2 or 3 different target markets that you're going after, but really focus your business plan on the key target market that you want to address. Now, don't get too worried, because if you feel that you're getting too narrow in your target market or it's not exactly right, you can always broaden it. After you go to market, you can always extend it. So don't worry about that. Next tip is that I suggest that you start with your product or service and how that product or service is defined, and from that you start to define your target market. You look at your product and service and say, who is this going to be most ideal for or most valuable to? And that will help define your target market from there. The next thing is I want to make sure that once we define our target market, that every other strategy that you have in your business is linked up to your target market. That means that it's checked, that we have internal consistency amongst your positioning strategy to your target market, your distribution strategy to your target market, your acquisition strategy to your target market. It's all very important to make sure it's internally consistent. Now, let me tell you a story, because I know that entrepreneurs, I know that the first thing you're thinking of is, I don't want to narrow my target market. That's not what I want to do. Well, I got to tell you a little story that when I was graduating from USC Business School, the commencement speaker is a guy that I don't even remember his name, but I remember what he talked about. And he talked about, the entire speech was about, if you want to be successful in business, you develop a niche within a niche. That was key to him. And I remember that. I remember sitting in that seat right now, listening to him saying, the more focused your target market is, the more successful you will be. That was his pitch. And I got to tell you, for the last 25 years, I've been doing that. I've been living that. And it's been working pretty good for me. So I just pass that on to you, that being more focused and more narrow in your target market, generally speaking, is better. As I've said before, your target market is critical to your overall business strategy. In fact, it's the center of your entire marketing strategy, because it will inform how you build your product or service. It'll inform your key messages. Who are you competing with? Your relevancy of your problem statement, how you price your product, how you distribute your product, how you sell your product, what marketing channels are you going to use, and what discounting and promotional strategies are best for your target market. All of this together will help define your overall marketing strategy. So what are the core strategies that your target market informs? Your positioning strategy, your value proposition, your product strategy, your pricing and discounting strategy, your problem statement, your acquisition strategy, and your distribution strategy. All of those are being informed by your target market, and at the center is your target market. Now, a couple of things that I want to make sure that you keep in mind, which is this idea of internal consistency or internal inconsistency, right? What we want to make sure is that each one of these strategies connects up to your target market, right? So let's say we're looking at your pricing strategy, perhaps, and we want to see whether or not it's internally consistent or internally inconsistent with your strategies. So you're selling to a lower income demographic, yet you have a product that's actually priced higher or priced as a premium product at a higher price point. So there's some internal inconsistency there that we need to reconcile. So another example might be you're selling to an upper class market, yet you're applying heavy discounting and promotional strategies to that. And that really won't resonate with an upper market or a richer, more affluent customer. So you can see, again, that your discounting strategies there would be internally inconsistent with your overall strategy or your overall target market. And that's what we want to resolve. So keeping all this in mind, what I want to do is I want to walk you step by step through the process so that you nail it right in the bullseye. I really hope you found this video valuable. Now, the best conversations start with you, so make sure that you leave a comment, a question, or maybe a takeaway that you got from watching this video. And you're not only going to help yourself, but other entrepreneurs as well. We're adding new videos all the time, so make sure you subscribe to our channel and get access to all this great content that will help you build your business. Oh yeah, make sure that you also share this video with a friend because they can benefit from it too. Be sure to visit entrepreneurnow.com to subscribe to our newsletter, Launch. Now, you'll get exclusive access to articles, free videos, interviews with world-class entrepreneurs, access to our live events, and insider tips that you can't get anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Entrepreneur Now TV. If you want help with making your business a huge success, then go to entrepreneurnow.com and learn from successful entrepreneurs that will take you step by step through the process of creating and growing your business. Whether you need help with things like a business or financial plan, your overall business strategy, tactical marketing and sales execution, or obtaining financing, we will be right there every step of the way to help you. Every entrepreneur I know benefits from having someone right there as they launch and grow their business. So we provide one-on-one and group mentoring to all our members. In addition, our members get access to on-demand videos, all our live events, financial planning tools, and a library of worksheets and resources at their fingertips. And the best part of all is you're part of a community of entrepreneurs that learn and inspire each other. So now is the time for you to take action. Go to entrepreneurnow.com and join us today. You can tell that beautifully designed is so important to their target market. There's no GMO, there's no sugar, it's gluten-free, it's this free, that free, everything free. And we actually start to segment down from the industry until we actually get to our core market, which is really where our sweet spot is.